Dr. Oldsmobile and George Hurst teamed up to build what Motor Trend magazine called the Mind Shatterer. General Motors had a 400 cubic inch V8 size limit that they would put in any of the mid-size family sedans up until 1970. And basically what this meant was, if you bought a mid-size car like a Chevelle or a Cutlass or a Buick Skylark before 1970, the biggest engine they would offer was 400 cubic inches. All of the GM divisions had larger engines than 400s, but they put these in the full-size cars. Oldsmobile had a 455 for the full-size Delta 88s and 98s and Tornados. But in '68 and in '69, George Hurst was able to work with Jack Watson and Oldsmobile to come up with a Hurst Olds limited edition Cutlass that featured an engine bigger than the 400 cubic inch limit. It's a pretty unique car. In 1968, they made just over 400. In 1969, they made just over 900. And the deal was, they were basically able to take a 455 short block from a Tornado and install it in a 442 and come up with this Hurst Olds special car. It was more than just the bigger engine. The Hurst Olds was a whole appearance and performance package. For 1969, these cars started off as white 442 holiday coupes, but they didn't have any of the 442 badging on them. And the engines were actually installed on the factory assembly line, but the cars weren't finished in the Oldsmobile plant, and that's kind of where the loophole comes in. The cars were ordered by Hurst Performance Research Corporation and sent to a place called Demmer Engineering, and Demmer finished the conversion to turn these into the Hurst Olds car. They were sold through Oldsmobile dealers, so it's kind of a tricky route. I mean, they started on the Oldsmobile Cutlass assembly line in Lansing, Michigan, and then took this little detour to Demmer, but then went right back to an Olds dealership and sold through Oldsmobile as a Hurst Olds. What I love about this car is being original. It's nice and worn in, and it's just incredibly comfortable. Motor Trend did call this a rich man's hot rod too, for good reason. It's got just about everything you could get on the car. Great instrumentation, clock built into the tack and the dash, cruise control, the tilt wheel, it's got air conditioning, it's got an AM radio with a factory 8-track player, a map light underneath the mirror, and the Hurst dual gate shifter, which makes it a little more fun to drive an automatic. I mean, this thing is loaded to the gills. So inside they had all the creature comforts that they could throw at these things, and outside they had a specific style because of the cameo white paint and the gold stripes. It was instantly recognizable as a Hurst, and in addition to the stripes, they had a special 15 by 7 inch super stock 2 wheel. In our particular example, the wheels were silver on this car, and then Hurst also added a wing on the back. This aggressive-looking fiberglass hood scoop not only served as a great billboard for the HO 455 engine, it's also functional. And it allows cold air to get funneled right down into that 455 Oldsmobile. So we know it looks cool, but does it run? And the answer is absolutely. The 455 that Hurst put in this car was actually a little bit lighter than the production 400, and it was a Tornado short block, so that meant the block, the crank, the rods were all basically straight from a Tornado. The pistons were slightly different. They had the D heads on them, so there was a good flowing cylinder head, and a specific cast iron intake manifold found only in the '69 Hurst Olds. It was topped with a 4-barrel quadjet carburetor. It made about 10 1/4 to 1 compression, which translated to 380 horsepower and 500 foot-pounds of torque. Tons of torque out of these Oldsmobile engines. The camshaft was very similar to an Olds W30 442 cam, and of course it had a turbo 400 transmission shifted by a Hurst dual gate shifter, and out back we saw a 325 to 1 limited slip rear axle. And the car ended up running, according to the magazines, anywhere from you know, high 13s to low 14 seconds in the quarter mile with 0 to 60 times under 6 seconds. So it ran hard, looked great, and just was a total package. Hurst used this gold and white color combination on a variety of cars over the years, but this car is wearing what's called Fire Frost Gold, which is an exclusive color only found on the 1969 versions. And I think it's pretty cool that you see the stripes on the outside, well, they're also painted on the headrests. And if this car was a convertible, the gold stripe was actually painted on the convertible top as well. And speaking of convertibles, there were only 3 '69 Hurst Olds convertibles ever built, and they were promotional cars. They were designed to go down the drag strip with a giant Hurst shifter on the back and a platform, and Linda Vaughn standing on the back, waving to the crowd and just, you know, drumming up the excitement for the whole Hurst experience. One of those cars burned to the ground, leaving 2 '69 Hurst Olds convertibles, one of which is also in the brothers' collection, where we found this '69 Hurst Olds hardtop. You can see more of this cool car on our website at musclecaroftheweek.com, and there's stories to be told. You can share those on our Facebook page, and don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, where you'll never miss an episode of Muscle Car of the Week.
Barilla Albronzo presenterar bronsvalsad pasta med en rik textur och robust karaktär som fångar upp såsen bättre. För en intensiv pastaupplevelse. Nya Barilla Albronzo.